Hi everyone, my name is Brenton Maris. Do you feel like you're cooking the same 2 or 3 meals every week and you can't get out of that loop? Well, I was exactly the same a few years ago, but now every week I discover something new in the kitchen. And I'm going to show you what inspired me to get so creative. Let's get into it. Here we got some basil, parmesan cheese, we've got pak choi, choy sum, got some ghee here, salt and pepper. I've got chicken thigh. You can use breast as well. Some peanuts, pine nuts, some chili here. You can substitute that with paprika if you don't like chili, or you can use just one. Mine will be a bit spicy. Probably use about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic, onion, and capsicum or bell pepper. All right, got the scissors ready to chop. So, I'm gonna put some basil into this mortar and pestle. Now you can use a blender, but this is a much better way of doing it. It breaks them up, doesn't grind them real fine. And then, so what we're gonna do, we put some basil in there and just get into it and just start basically destroying it, opening the flavors out of the basil. Let's come and have a look. So it's turned into a bit of a paste. Literally took a minute, very quick. So we're gonna add the pine nuts, like so, and we're going to blend them around as well with the mortar and pestle. I used to do this with a blender, but this is way better. You can see how that's a beautiful paste there. Now that's going to be really thick. So what we're going to add to it now is some Parmesan cheese. So I bought this at the market, but you can get stuff from Coles. And we're just going to grate this into the here, probably about that much. All right, so we've got the Parmesan cheese in there. Gonna add some oil to it as well. So obviously this is just all to taste. So you might like more basil, you might like more cheese than that. This is how much I do. And then we'll just mix that in and make it a basil pesto, essentially. Yeah, at this point, I'm probably gonna just push that away. You can see it's already a paste. I'll just sort of blend it through. And that's gonna be what we're gonna cook the chicken in. Pretty good. We've got the chicken, the basil pesto, you can see. And even if it's got like little bits of cheese in it, a little pine nuts that hasn't broken up, that's fine. So we're just gonna put a little bit of oil in this pan. Need new oil. Need to go to the shops. This in, right? Maybe half in, and just get that to, and then we're going to put the chicken in, and we want to put the lid on, and we want to have it on a really low heat, basically, and so it just slowly simmers, and just turn it around. All right, so we're going to put this on top as well, and then with our tongs, I'm just going to mix it through. So we really want to make it coat the chicken, like so. So the idea of the low heat is it doesn't really cook it quickly. All right, so we're just gonna let that on the smallest burner and on the smallest amount of heat and just cook that really slowly. I'm just gonna mix it around ongoing. So remember to keep stirring this chicken. Right, we want it to cook right nice and evenly. So we'll keep stirring the chicken. For our next trick, we're gonna cut this onion. That chicken, keep turning it. Yeah, the slower it cooks, the better. That way the basil pesto sinks into the chicken. Now we're gonna put the onion on here. We're gonna put a little bit of oil, and we're gonna put a little bit of water after we throw this in. A little bit of water as well, so it caramelizes those onions. All right, so we've got this on a medium heat, so it'll warm up eventually. Now we're coming over here, so we're gonna cut up some garlic. So I always crush the garlic, makes it nice and easy to break it out of its shell, and then we'll cut it up. So I use, however much garlic to taste. So if you like more garlic, add more garlic, it's good for you. If you're shy of garlic, then add a little less. All right, it's garlic cutting time. So we'll cut up the garlic. All this while you've got the onions over here cooking, and you've got the basil. So you want to keep turning that basil. I sound like a broken record, but all right, it's starting to. Juices are starting to come out. So come and have a look. Yeah, you can see it's cooking it nice and it's cooking it a little bit beautiful. So slowly cooking. Come and have a look at these onions. So they're pretty much done. I'm going to add the garlic so that they get that last little bit of cook through. If only you could smell through this video. They smell fantastic. But let's add this. So you want the onions to be a little bit more brown than that. So they should even up with the garlic. So we'll cook that through. You continually stir this around. That looks pretty good now. Now you could cook a little bit more, but I'm happy with it like that. So I'm going to take it off the pan. Now I'm going to cook the peanuts. So we can do this to taste. You know, if you really want them really cooked, then you cook them for a bit of time. If not, then just cook them as you like them. You can even add them fresh at the end if you really want. This has been bubbling for a little while. I reckon that's pretty much done in there. So we'll just turn that off, keep the heat on. Chili in. Chili into your pan, like that. And cook that through. That was literally like 30 seconds on there with the chili, and the peanuts are all cooked. They're a bit brown, so we'll take them off the heat. Now it's time to cut the vegetables. We've got the pak choy and the choy sum. You always want to wash them because they always come with some dirt in them, and you don't want that in your meal. So we washed our vegetables, so we'll bring them over. Ideally, we want to try and cut off the greens to start, so the leaves part of it, and we'll come back to that. And then we're going to cook this part first because it takes longer to cook, and then second the leaves. Yeah, so however you want to cut them, but I don't like them as thick as that, so I usually cut this part in half, and then just chop. Turn the heat on, beautiful, maybe about medium, and we'll throw these guys in. Then we'll cut some capsicum or bell pepper, and add that to it as well. Alright, cut them like that, or you can also cut them in half, however you feel. Maybe try something different each time, see which way you like. The kitchen isn't a test, it's a playground. That's what I think anyway. So we're going to add them to the mix. And we stir. Now you can add a little bit of salt and pepper to them if you like, and I like. And let them go. So medium heat, just keep stirring them all the time, pretty much like everything in the kitchen. You don't want to burn one side and have the other side raw. If you haven't already, get yourself some spices. I'm going to chuck in something random, maybe a little bit of paprika just in there, just because why not? Experiment with it. Have a bit of fun. Check this out, one of the leaves is really big, so I'm going to use that leaf to roll it up like so, and then we can actually just cut it into little parts that'll go into the pan. Because that leaf was really big, they're really long, so you can, if you like, cut halfway through it and just make them half as long. Alright, you're probably wondering, when does the ghee come into it? Well, it's now. So we've got the ghee. Gonna add a little bit of ghee in there. I like ghee better than butter because it's got a higher smoke point. So in we go with the ghee. Give that a little bit of butter there. And then we'll add this guy in a minute when it's cooked through. If you want, you can add this guy back. Alright, so I pretty much just, as soon as I put the ghee in, I pretty much put the other thing in within the minute, and then I'm just really doing this quick now. Now that everything's cooked, this doesn't really need to cook that much. So we'll just mix this through. That's why I've got the tongs here still. And just mix it through, nice and easy, until it sort of cooks a little bit, and then we're pretty much done. This is probably one of the most important things that I probably should mention ongoing, is try your food before you finish it. So have a little go. Really good. A little bit of spice, so some spice coming through. You've got the peanuts, you've got the vegetables, which sort of sit idle a little bit, and then some of those flavors come through it, like the butter and the garlic. It's fantastic. Grab the plate, throw it on. Bit of chicken on top. Look at that. All right, so you can, a little bit of parmesan broke off before, so I can add that to it and just put that over the top. And you can also chuck a couple pine nuts over. Why not? Just add to the, whoops. Beautiful. All right, look at that. I got some chicken in there with some basil, got a little bit of the pak choy, a little bit of chili, and a little peanut, and I'm going to enjoy it. It just bounced together. That parmesan. Woo. Hi everyone. If you like the content, like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. We'll see you in the next one.